time to really speak to each other personally, but we'll have lots of chance to offer things. So we really hope to hear from you. Um, I'm Nancy Hill Davis, the oldest one of the crew, Susie's older sister, and I want to welcome everybody here. It's great to see these faces. I wish we could be in person to talk, but this should be a nice alternative. And we've tried to make it so that it's as much like we're in a home, the wonderful home we were going to be in, Sarah Harkinson's, and able to share things. Susie's life has left a big hole. Susie's death has left a big hole in our lives. And we're here today to remember, to cherish, to laugh, and maybe to cry a bit in honor of the wonderful time we shared with her. There are some introductions to be made, but just to be sure that we're all on the same page and on the same screens, Pat is going to give us a few tips about how to manipulate what we see before we get into the program.
Okay, well, just a brief refresher. I'm sure all are great Zoom aficionados, but I like to be in what's called gallery view. So, like Brady Bunch, you can see everybody that's got their cameras on. And right now it's quite quite a big screen, so I hope you all have a big enough screen to see everybody. But pretty soon, and here comes Hunter, and pretty soon I'm going to be sharing a video screen. So when that happens, you won't see as many of the people. Once the video session will be about 40 minutes. So at that point, if you want to turn off your camera, most people won't be able to see more than two or three people anyway. So for that long recorded session, you might want to turn off your camera. Certainly keep yourself on mute unless you're talking, but you are certainly allowed to unmute yourself at any time. Uh, and then after the pre-recorded part, then we'll have a little break and then go to the group portion. At the bottom, you'll see the mute button at the lower corner. You'll also see the stop video if you want to stop your video for any reason. Um, there is, most importantly, there's a button with a bubble that says chat, and I really recommend that everybody pull up the chat window because now during this pre-recorded piece, if anybody wants to send a message or say, "Oh, that's cool," or "What was the name of that poem again?" For example, Mac's poem, he says the author really quickly, so I'll retype it into the chat window so you'll catch the author and the name of the poem, things like that. So we'll use the chat window, so be sure to bring that up. And once the video starts, I like to go not on full screen. So if you don't put it on full screen, then you'll get the video window, some people that you can scroll through, and then the chat along the side. So unless you have any other questions, if there's any disasters, call me on my cell phone, which is 281 660 9107, and I can help you get back on if you've accidentally fell off or whatever. Um, and it should be a lot of fun, and I'm just so delighted that we're all here. Back to you, Nancy.
Okay, and you can hear me? All right. Just a few introductions before we start. This is my husband, Mac. Many of you know him. Uh, Tom, I can't see you, but I know you're here. So say something, Tom. Oh, see in the other room?
He's muted. He's muted.
Unmute yourself, Tom, to say hi. You have to unmute yourself to be visible.
I always forget something. Now I'm unmuted. Hi, I'm Tom, Susie's brother, and my wife Pat is over in the corner here. Pat Rife.
Okay, and Barbie, you want to unmute yourself?
I'm unmuted. I came prepared. I'm Barbie, that much younger sister, and my husband Abe.
Hi.
Y'all are refurbing. Y'all are refurbing.
I don't know how to do it.
That's an internet.
Yeah, somebody needs to be on silent on their computer so it doesn't reverb.
Well, I can't hear him. I've got mine more quiet.
Rusty, you're not muted.
I'm sorry.
You're not muted. We can hear you.
I could, yeah, if anybody accidentally speaks when they shouldn't be, I'll try to remember to mute
Okay.
so we don't get a lot of background noise. All right, fantastic.
I think that, so I think the Sibs have introduced themselves, but I certainly wanted to have a special welcome for the Spanish families who are here. Emilio, say something, wave to us. I'm not sure where you are.
Make a noise.
There he is.
Emilio,
Say hi. Emilio.
louder.
There you are.
I'm Emilio, Susie's husband,
And
and Brian and Sarah's father.
well, in the screen with Emilio is his sister Petusa and his nephew Juancho. And Brian, you want to introduce your family?
Hello, everyone. This is my beautiful wife, Sarah. This is my robust son, Joshua. And Emily's around happy, so I won't touch her right now.
And Sarah, another Sarah.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Sarah, and this is my husband, Christian.
Hi, everyone.
And our kids, Martin, Alexia, and Claudia, are playing in another room because my twins are 2 and they're kind of crazy right now. So they'll come and go, but they're not going to be able to sit on our laps the whole time. So, but you'll have a chance to see them later for sure.
Great. I think we're ready for the slideshow, Pat.
All righty, so now I'm going to share the screen. And this is the little intro, which we were going to play at the beginning, but I'm going to get into the recorded
I wrote the following shortly after Susie's untimely death and tweaked it more recently. You will see reflections of these thoughts in many of our photos. I see Susie as the youngest of the 3 Hill siblings until Barbie came along 8 years later. The plump, blonde-haired toddler who charmed everyone she met because she had to interact with everyone, you know. Playing, exploring, picking blueberries on our annual vacations to beautiful Lake Nipissing in Ontario, Canada. Swimming and sailing on Lake Erie in Ohio during our regular visits to Grammy Westfall and our cousins. Making what seemed like the harsh move from upstate New York to Texas at age 10 to slide, at least it seemed, effortlessly into a new set of friends. Susie always had plenty of friends. As the cute little cousin to those rambunctious Texas Hill boys on horseback at their ranch. In 1963, watching JFK and Jackie in the Dallas parade. And then I see Susie, often from a great distance, morphing into this lovely, classy, poised young woman, and, lucky her, spending part of her college junior year in Valencia, and falling in love with a Spaniard. Back home and after college graduation, still with a trusting, caring, tender heart of gold, working with disabled children and teaching. Before Pan Am grabbed her up and, how coincidental, flew her to Spain, where she fell in love again with the same exotic, wonderful Spaniard. Then making the brave decision to leave her birth country and become a vibrant, enthusiastic part of her new country, but never losing an ounce of connection to her beloved, loving birth family, making the long trip home every summer, agonizing through the complicated packing and herding of one, then two little ones, entertaining them through long waits in airports and snafus of all varieties, meticulously fussing over the one mandatory and always scrumptious paella every visit, whether to Maine, Dallas, or Houston. Occasionally, throughout the 4 decades and with growing family, sitting on the Songo Pond Maine porch, feasting on endlessly delicious meals, and occasionally gawking at a moose across the lawn. As the gracious hostess during my 3 memorable visits to Valencia, organizing occasional forays into the area attractions, especially food, and luxuriating for hours on the spectacular veranda. I hear Susie in decades of cavorting with family and friends around the Alta Vista swimming pool, in Valencia, in Texas, in Maine, or wherever, in intense conversation with whatever person of the moment she is absorbed in, laughing, singing and dancing at her sons and daughters and all her nieces and nephews' weddings, never mind the extraordinary effort it took to get there. I hear Susie only vicariously, unfortunately, chatting away a mile a minute with her new Spanish family and friends, singing with her very young English language pupils, probably older ones too, cooing to her own precious Martine, Joshua, Alexia, and Claudia, laughing with them, indulging in silliness, listening to them, reading to them, and endlessly bragging about them to the great aunts and uncle who couldn't be there. I plan to finally meet those precious darlings and Emily, whom she never met. I'll be back to that special veranda in the near future. Susie, I'll miss you.
May the good Lord be with you down every road you roam. And may sunshine and happiness surround you when you're far from home. And may you grow to be proud, dignified and true. And do unto others as you'd have done to you. Be courageous and be brave, and in my heart you'll always stay forever young, forever young.
Hi, I'm Susie's brother, Tom Hill. Thank you for the memories, Susie. Thank you for your close friendship during our childhood years when we hung out together in our hometown of Olean, New York, and occasionally at our Grammy's cottage on Lake Erie in Ashtabula, Ohio, and in the primitive beach cabin at Lake Nipissing, Ontario, where we spent 2 weeks every summer. I will never forget those fun and formative years of our lives. And thank you for helping me learn day after day and year after year the secret of family love. It's actually pretty simple. Love your family and they will love you back. I've learned lots of important stuff from lots of important people. But how could any lesson be more important than that one? And thank you for the adventures we have shared in all those years since, both in the U.S. and in Spain. One of the earliest adventures I remember is from when Olean was leveling and repaving 4th Street in front of our house. You were probably about 3 and I was probably about 5. You and I helped the construction workers with my little yellow bulldozer. We and the bulldozers made the front page of the Olean Times-Herald. Another adventure I remember well was our exploration of the Santa Maria de Montserrat Abbey near Barcelona during Pat's and my first visit to you and Emilio in 1975. I'm pretty sure we have some memorable photos of that visit somewhere in our attic. I was struck by how sparse the monks' bachelor quarters were in the midst of all that natural and architectural grandeur. I remember enjoying a morning walk in the orange orchard just down the hill from your home in the outskirts of Valencia. If I picked up an orange that had fallen to the ground overnight and brought it home for breakfast, I really didn't consider that stealing. I also remember Valencia as the host city for the America's Cup yacht racing events of 2007. I'm wearing the t-shirt that you gave me then, Susie. CHN was the sail abbreviation for Team China, which didn't win very many races that year, but sported what was arguably the prettiest boat on the water and the prettiest t-shirt in the tourist shop. Fast forward a decade to the wedding of our youngest, Hunter, and Hunter's partner, Zed, in Juneau, Alaska in July 2017. Susie would never miss a family wedding, and she wasn't about to miss this one. Never mind the fact that it was half a world away from Valencia. One of the many fun diversions the wedding couple offered us that week was a don't miss whale watching cruise. On the way to the whale watching ground, I got a chance to acquire what is now my favorite photo of myself with Susie and Emilio. Since you left us last November, Susie, I think of you for a little bit of each and every day. I'm grateful that I knew you. Thank you for your beautiful life.
One of Sue's admirable qualities was her ability to make and maintain close friendships through the years, regardless of where she was living. Carol Dixon Scott commented that she and Sue were sorority sisters, lived together in Spain, and were roommates their senior year at Austin College. She said they had much fun together and shared lots of laughs. Margaret Williams' special memories include one night in a bar in Valencia when Sue picked Emilio up and swung him around while dancing. They all laughed at Sue's antics. In the apartment that several of them shared in Valencia, they marveled at how Sue got the senora to heat water for her every morning so she could wash her hair. That was particularly notable because they only got a little hot water every other day to take a bath. When Margaret, Tom, and Caroline visited Valencia in 2004, Sue picked them up from the train and chauffeured them around to Valencia to see the sights in the new Calatrava buildings. Nancy Dixon shared that she became close friends with Sue and Margaret during their special time in España. She later visited her in Valencia in the summer of 1999. Nancy will always remember Sue as a tall, attractive blonde who was intelligent, kind, and fun with her smile and subtle sense of humor. She was a special person and friend that she will treasure for the rest of her life.
name's Kevin Davis, son of Nancy Hill Davis, and I'd like to share some memories of Aunt Susie. When I think about Susie, one of the things that immediately pops to mind is paella. It's one of the first authentically prepared foreign foods I ever ate during one of those rare summer visits when she and Emilio and toddler Brian and baby Sarah came to visit us in Maine. Sitting on the porch, digging into that mysteriously fragrant rice and mussels, I witnessed Susie's pride in her adopted homeland of Spain and her joy in sharing its culture and flavors with her American family. During childhood Hill family reunions in Dallas, paella was that signature meal that capped off a fun afternoon playing in the pool with cousins and listening to Susie's boisterous laugh punctuating the happy hour chatter of uncles and aunts. I can still picture Susie and Emilio hovering over Grammy's stovetop in the middle of the kitchen, fussing over every last morsel of sacarat at the bottom of the pan, as though anything less than perfection would fail to absolutely floor the appreciative audience gathered around the long dining room table. But it was during the 2 visits I made to Valencia that I came to fully appreciate paella and what food and fellowship meant to Aunt Susie. During my first visit, before a semester abroad during college, I came down with a nasty case of strep throat that threatened to derail those precious first couple weeks. Susie immediately assured me that if I would only eat all of the amazing cheeses, jamon, fruit, and of course paella that was put in front of me by her and Emilio and their Spanish family and friends, I would be fine. Susie's sense of caring and stubborn belief in her own convictions came through with every bite, and I of course made a quick recovery. A few years ago, this time on a trip to show off Spain and Valencia to my own family during Fies, we were once again treated to Susie's warm hospitality and soft heart. Our last night there, we were able to share a traditional Valenciano Sunday afternoon feast with close family and friends. Emilio showed off his outdoor paella oven, and Susie busied herself covering every last inch of that table with food. I couldn't understand every Spanish phrase that was passed back and forth, but the warm smiles and laughter needed no translation. It was wonderful to linger over a long meal and bask in the glow of delicious food and fellowship, but it was also clear that the opportunity was only a result of Susie's energy, attention to detail, and determination for us all to have a great time. She always seemed at her happiest when surrounded by loved ones, and that's how I will remember her. Finally, one last observation. As everyone gathered around here today knows, Susie was never afraid to speak her mind. I remember that during one of those Dallas visits when I was a kid, after I had awkwardly responded to something nice she said about the shirt I was wearing, Susie chastised me for not knowing how to graciously accept a compliment. It was honestly a social grace that I'd never even thought about, but her forthright way of lecturing me stuck with me and changed how I handle those situations. Thinking about that now actually makes me feel confident that wherever you are, Susie, you're doing a good job accepting those heartfelt testimonials and feeling the love that all of us are trying to share today. Also, I'm going to take this opportunity to get in the last word and pay you one final compliment. That paella you made at 4431 Alta Vista Lane on August 3rd, 1988, but kept insisting to all who had listened that it was inferior, it really was amazing, as was every other paella of yours I was lucky enough to enjoy. Or maybe it was just the company. I love you, Susie.
Hi, I'm Barbie, Sue's younger sister.
I'm Abe.
And we're sitting on the patio because we could call that probably the Susie patio because we have so many happy memories of Susie on the patio. I believe it probably started in our parents' house in Alta Vista where we would sit out and usually have a little cocktail. And when we all had children, they would sit out and they would play on the pool and splash. And, you know, the language difference was not even a barrier. They had a ball playing with each other. Many, many happy days spent that way.
Unforgettable, that's what you are.
Unforgettable, though near or far.
Like a song of love that clings to me. How the thought of you does things to me never before has someone been more
unforgettable in every way
and forevermore. That's how you'll stay.
That's how you'll stay.
That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too.
Later, Abe and I moved to Richardson, and we have a lot of happy memories on this patio as well. Many evenings sitting out, either having dinner or perhaps waiting till later in the evening, because they always visited in the brutal Dallas summers. But we would sit out when the sun went down and enjoy a cool breeze and a glass of wine and chit chat, laugh, tell stories, and sometimes sit around and sing and play guitar.
Yes, and I remember during one of their last visits when Susie, Emilio, Bab, and I all sang the song Solamente una vez. This song will always remind me of her.
Hi, I'm Pat Rive. I'm Sue's sister-in-law. And I first met Sue in 1975 when Tom and I came to Spain in between two science conferences we had in Europe that year. And I absolutely fell in love with Sue, with Emilio, with Garraf, with the caves of Spain, and yeah, paella. It was also there that she learned she was pregnant with Brian. And so we were able to share that wonderful news with her, and they were over the moon. But that meant that next summer, when Tom and I got married on the 4th of July, she had a 1-month-old baby and couldn't make it. But she's made up for it many, many times for coming to all the wonderful celebrations that we've had in our extended family, at least all the ones she could make. And it's been such a joy to have her in our lives for all these years. And every time we have a celebration, we'll remember you, Sue.
A celebration to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate your party with you. Come on now. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Celebration. We gon' celebrate and have a good time.
Susie and I shared a love of some specific flowers. She knew I loved gladiolus, and she often bought me a bouquet when she visited. Now I grow them and think of her when they display their extroverted beauty. Likewise, we both loved sunflowers. I thought of her as I planted my garden this year, and now their always sunny and warmly accepting disposition reminds me of her. The following poem by Mary Oliver celebrates not only the sunflowers, but also the delicious Maine sweet corn that graced many a family feast on our front porch.
By the Wild-Haired Corn by Mary Oliver. I don't know if the sunflowers are angels always, but surely sometimes. For who, even in heaven, wouldn't want to wear for a while such a seed face and brave spine, a coat of leaves with so many pockets? And who wouldn't want to stand for a summer day in the hot fields of the lonely country of the wild-haired corn? This much I know, when I see the bright stars of their faces when I'm strolling nearby, I grow soft in my speech and soft in my thoughts. And I remember how everything will be everything else by and by.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Palermo, Susie's brother Tom's eldest, and this is my family Zaniel and Zia and Zen. And we love our Aunt Susie so much. She was such an amazing, authentic, kind, loving person, and we miss her. And I'm really glad that these two got to meet their grand Aunt Susie. I know some of the other babies in our family never will get that opportunity, and that is unfortunate because she was a really special lady. She had some amazing stories, and she was always so kind and attentive and loving, especially to kiddos. She loved giving them tickles and was always so sweet with them. And one thing I remember from my childhood that I've loved seeing her carry over to the new generations, to her grandkids and grand nieces and nephews, is the song Cinco Lobitos, about a mother wolf nurturing her babies. And so to keep Susie's memory alive, we'll keep telling her stories, we'll keep sharing her photos and videos, and we'll keep singing this song to our little ones to remind them of their sweet Aunt Susie. Someone's ready already, so if you guys want to join along because you know the words, because she sang it to you or your kids or your grandkids, we'd love to have you join us. And my brother and his new baby Avery will join us as well. So, are you ready?
I need some water. I need some water.
Okay, first we're gonna sing, then we'll have some water, okay?
Cinco lobitos tiene la loba, blancos y negros detrás de la escoba. Cinco crió, y a todos los cinco tetita les dio.
Cinco lobitos tiene la loba, blancos y negros detrás de la escoba. Cinco crió, cinco cuidó, y a todos los cinco tetita les dio. Who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hell did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh.
Hi, my name is Matt Bierman, and I was one of Susie's nephews. And this is baby Mia, Monica and I's baby. She's about 2 weeks old, almost 2 weeks old. But I just want to talk a little bit about memories I have with Susie. I know when I was younger, growing up, she was always able to come to Dallas, and that was great. And I remember getting all of these cool Valencia things and bringing them to school, wearing my Valencia jerseys and bringing my Monroe backpacks, and all of my friends were always really jealous that I had all these cool things from Spain. As I got a little bit older, whenever she was in Dallas, she would always come to see me play soccer and basketball, and she was very just always there when she was in town to be with us and the family. Susie and I had a really good relationship. I think mostly because she loved to talk and I loved to listen, and I was a very good listener, and we had a lot of great memories out on our porch in Richardson and the porch in Spain. So when I got a little bit older, I was able to come to Spain for the first time, and we had such a great experience there with Emilio and everybody else, and it was a really great time. We'll miss you, Susie. One of my favorite memories is that when I got older and my first teaching job, she came to one of the basketball games that I was coaching, and she was always very positive and loving, and so yeah, we'll miss you, Susie.
Hello, my name's John Bierman, for those who don't know me. I am Susie's nephew through her sister Barbie. This is my wife Tori, and my newest son Luke, and Jackson, our oldest son, is over there being silly. Just want to make
There's Drew the dog.
Yes, Drew the dog. Just want to make a quick video, just for memories of Aunt Susie and how we just appreciate her time and generosity of traveling over here all the years of my life, at least, from Spain, and staying here for weeks at a time, and just really lavishing on us, myself and my brother Matt. Always gave us.
Is a cowboy.
Yes, Luke is a cowboy.
No, he's not.
Just was really generous with giving us thoughtful gifts. Really made sure we supported the Valencia Football Club. And one of my memories I had that I thought of recently was I remember celebrating her birthday up in Maine and surprising her. We all dressed up in black, and the cousins at Songo Pond, and just that came back to me, and just thinking of all that fun that we had and really celebrating her then too. She was really she really loved Jackson. Got to meet him a couple of times. It's unfortunate Luke will never get to know her, but through this and memories and stories we tell, I hope that that he knows the spirit of Susie and can understand why we love her so much. Yeah, we love her. We hope that this is a great time celebrating her. And yeah, thanks.
So my memory of Susie, just the way that she loved on Jackson as her great nephew, and brought books to him, and brought over gifts for him, and just I really appreciate that as a mom, and just her ability and willingness to travel for our wedding and to come see Jackson. It was so special for her to be at our wedding 6 years ago, and as we made a covenant and when our friends and family, for her to be there. So we miss Susie, and we know we will see her again one day.
I'm so sad. It really is a reminder of how fragile and precious life is. I feel so grateful for that she made the long trip here to Alaska to honor and witness our wedding with such love, joy, and enthusiasm. Qualities she was never without. We are all better for knowing her, and I will miss her kisses and cheek pinching. I had been daydreaming of a trip to Spain to visit them just this summer. We always think we have more time. My thoughts are with Emilio, Brian, and Sarah, of course, and also with Zen and others in the next generation who will not get to remember her personally. Her love will live on through our fond stories and memories. Love you, Susie. And because life is unpredictable and precious and brief, I love you too, Barbie. Your friendly warmth and hospitality are as legendary as your margaritas. And I love you, Aunt Nancy. You always encouraged me and lived such a beautiful life that inspires me to live in harmony more as well. And I love you, Dad. You're a total grouch in times, but your passion for the truth and love of babies and small animals has influenced me deeply. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking in the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arm around anyone and give to them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not on your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Merritt Malloy.
One of the many things that Sue and I shared in common was our love of music of many styles, but in particular music for movies. One of my favorite songs is from Burt Bacharach. It's the song Alfie, and the lyrics to that really remind me of Susie and how she lived her life.
That's the end of the pre-recorded presentation. And I'm going to turn it over to Jay.
Great. Thanks so much, Pat. And what a wonderful collection. Thank you all of you who took the time to record for this. Such an amazing outpouring of love for our wonderful Aunt Susie. I am Susie's nephew. I'm Nancy's son, Jay. And we're going to take a little bit of an intermission now for 5 minutes so people can do what they need to do. And also just to give you a chance to think. If you'd like to just contribute something, either in the chat or speaking after the intermission, we're going to have a chance for sort of an open mic session. And if you'd like to say something of whatever length you want to, it can be very short, it can be longer. I'll explain when we come back how you can sort of we'll create space, and I'll facilitate to give people a chance to speak who'd like to. So if you are inclined to want to speak to the group or to write something, you might just think about that a little bit during this break. And when we come back, we'll have a chance to just whoever would like to join in to join and to just continue this wonderful celebration of Susie. So take about 5 minutes. By my clock, that would have us back at just a little bit before 3 o'clock. So we'll see you very soon.
And Jay, you forgot that people may want to be prepared for a toast at the end if they want to get something to drink.
There you go.
First things first.
Thanks, Mom.
everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. Everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn. turn, 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 and their time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing.
Okay. Time to return and turn on your cameras so that we can see everybody.
And if people can hear me, you might come back on in about another minute or so. Don't forget something to toast with if you'd like to do that as we finish in a little while.
Not time enough to make a tequila margarita, but I've made a tequila anyway.
I'm still on coffee. It's 11 a.m.
Definitely not going to start without Sister of Susie, Barbie, on the screen.
Yeah, Barbie, we're waiting on you.
He actually is making a margarita.
And as folks come on back in, if you may want to activate your chat if you haven't done that yet. It's down in the middle part of the lower part of your screen. You can hit chat. We'll use that for those who want to in just a second. And what a joy it is to see all these little children that have been added to the family very recently. You can do the math if you look at all of these little faces, the ones you can see. They happen very, very much together. Nice.
3 in a month this summer.
And Mia, oh my goodness.
That one in February.
Well, now that we have Barbie back, we're good to go.
The party can start.
Sort of as you know, kind of as an open mic time. And what we're going to do for this, because it can get a little bit awkward for people to kind of raise your hand or be seen, and some of you have different screens open, is just if you want to say something in a little bit, we'll open it up. I'm going to demonstrate with my chat that if I wanted to say something on this, I would just have it set to everyone, and I would just put me. And when you do that, I'll know that you'd like to say something. And if 10 people do it at once, I can just keep track of it on the chat. I'll know who's coming when. Of course, no pressure to speak. You might decide later you want to. It's entirely up to you. Two other options are you can just write something on the chat. And for example, I'll write something that is very true. And you can put that there if you'd like to. Or you could also, if for whatever reason you'd rather have me just say it for you or read it, you could just send me a private message. It's J Davis on the option. And if you want to do that, you just go to the everyone and hold that little arrow, and it shows you people that you can send to, and I'm on there. And so what I would just like to make a couple of points, and I had the opportunity to live with Susie and Brian and Sarah and Emilio for 3 months when I was in college. It was one of the best 3 months of my life. And as I was listening during the first half and just watching and hearing and the music and people's perceptions, Susie's impact is just so clear, right? And there are so many patterns that just, yes, Paella, as Adam, the scientist, tabulated for us as we went. So many other things, right? Just the music and the laughter and her ability to bring people together through music and love and laughter and the enjoyment of time on the patio. I think she was so interested in people that we all, at least I like it when someone is interested in me. I suspect many of us do. And Susie was remarkably good at showing that interest and having it be authentic and genuine. She made little children comfortable. And I think that says a lot about someone's character, right? Kids are really good judges, and they have an intuition. And I remember being at first intimidated by this incredibly tall, large human being when I was whatever the age I can first remember, probably 3.5, 4 years old. And then just how quickly she would break that down and how quickly she was down at your level, usually quite literally. She would jump down, but also just her ability to connect with kids. Again, I think that says a lot about somebody. And just her ability to bring the party, right? I mean, she was larger than life in so many ways with her love of people having fun together, and that's contagious. She picked a good country to live in for that reason. Some of my favorite people for their ability to be exuberant are Spaniards. And, you know, she had just incredible commitment to fun, but also to what mattered in life. And what mattered most to her, I think, was family, period. And that, you know, I think about the ways that she impacted me, you know, from those 3 months, but also the other times I've got to be with her. And we've had a lot of talk about paella, and I think paella is superb, but I have tortilla española in my life about once every 2 weeks. And I just want to make that very clear that paella is a big deal, but like tortilla española, I'm having more recently than mac and cheese, which my kids love. So that tells you something. And just, I remember her, the first time she ever made it for me was 11 at night, which is pretty typical dinner time in Spain. And she just made it, threw it together, poured a couple glasses of white wine, and just gave me a chance to kind of reflect on the day and the incredible learning that I was doing as I tried to figure out a new country and all of that. And that there's just so many places. I speak Spanish because of her. Not very well, but I speak it. And the impact that she's had on so many of us, you know, I suspect for many of us, she also modeled this incredible willingness to take a risk, right? And I sometimes forget this. She moved to another country, right, into another language, and decided to spend her life there. And that kind of modeling of the willingness to take risks, I mean, sort of a remarkable boldness that she had to do that. And I so admire that, and I always have. She's affected me through her commitment to teaching and being an educator, right? And getting the chance to see her classroom actually in Spain, and to see her in front of the group and to be able to command people's attention, but also her ability one-on-one. And I didn't know she taught special education. It doesn't surprise me in the least, her ability to connect with individual kids, and to make everybody feel important. You know, that's just what more could you ask for in an educator? And just the model that Sarah and Brian and their spouses certainly, but as her children, that Sarah and Brian are as parents, and as people, right, as human beings, and the ability to affect, you know, they talk about writers and parents both affect eternity, right? Because your influence just goes on and on and on and on. And I think you watch Brian and Sarah as parents, and I've had the fortune to be able to be in their room, in their homes, and to see them parenting. And I can see Susie and certainly Emilio, and their just unwavering commitment to family being the most important, right? I think it's a very Spanish trait, and I also think it's just a very much a Susie trait of who she is. And I will just close by also, if we think generationally, to go the other direction for a second and just to think about whom I think of and Kevin thinks of as Grammy and Papa, and Susie's parents and how wonderful they were. Of course, apples don't fall far from trees. And I like to think of them as, I think they're on the Zoom call. I don't think they activated their video, but I think they're here. And I just want to just recognize and affirm how much they loved Susie and how proud they were of her. And I like to think of that. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to one of the most important people on this call, the person who attracted Susie in the first place to leave home and to go to Spain, the person who therefore made it possible for me to go study there for 3 months, which is amazing. And Emilio is going to say some words, and then I think Sarah and Brian will as well. So Emilio, if you'd like to unmute, we'd love to hear from you. Mi tío.
Okay. First of all, I want to wish you a good day and thank you for being with us on such an endearing occasion. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Nancy, Tom, Barbie, and Pat for their efforts, enthusiasm, and expertise in organizing this beautiful event. I want to tell you that in this very moment, I would like to be with each and every one of you. That's not possible. I can't even be with my children because of well-known circumstances, but I am with my dearest sister and nephew, Itusa and Juancho. And I want to promise you that as soon as circumstances allow it, I will be in the States to personally thank you for what you have done. This said, my intervention is going to be short, but now I would like for all of us observe 30, 45 seconds to either say a prayer or think intensely about Sue and what she meant and still means in our lives. 30 seconds now. Thank you. Well, we all have done our mourning. We still do, and some of us will mourn all our lives for Susie's death. I mean, for us was really unexpected, cruel, and hard to accept. But I mean, that said, I think that the name given to this event, Celebration of Life, is very appropriate because the way I look at it, we are celebrating that we had the privilege of having Susie, to a lesser or greater extent, be part of our lives. I can attest that everyone that knew her loved her. She never had any altercate, issue, discussion with anybody. I have found in our environment signs of respect and love for her. And I tell you that she is considered like a lady of very strong convictions and a very enviable upbringing. I'm very proud of having shared almost 50 years of my life with her. Of course, during these 50 years, we had our issues. And whenever we had a strong one, and I realized that it was my fault, I apologized. And I think sometimes I overdid myself. I exaggerated. We Spaniards are a bit like that. And I want to draw your attention to two aspects of my wife's personality. She was a very, very sweet lady. But at the same time, she was very pragmatic, very strong. So when I was trying to apologize, she just stared at me without smiling, saying nothing. And then she said, "You shut up now. You gave me Brian and Sarah." And she hugged me, and that was the end of it. Sue was an extraordinary person. She was quite a woman. She reached excellence as a wife. And with permission of all the present, she was the best of mothers. God bless you all. I love you. And I see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those words mean so much to all of us, Emilio. Sarah, would you like to say something now? Or you can have Brian go first.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm very overwhelmed. If Mom were here, she would be crying from the beginning, and definitely I'm her daughter, so I'm the same. I'm going to try to talk without my voice breaking, but first of all, as my dad said, I want to thank the organizing committee, Nancy, Barb, Tom, and Pat, for organizing this beautiful tribute to our mom, and to everybody who has collaborated and is here present to celebrate her life. I confess that I was pretty nervous these past weeks because I haven't really been able to think about my memories with my mom. It's been too hard to do it. So this is kind of like a therapy also to being able to look at pictures and memories of Mom. And although sad, I'm very happy to have seen and heard stories and things like that you guys went to Ontario and things like that I really didn't really know. And so I thank you for that, because I hadn't allowed myself to cry that much, because I remember Mom every day, but I really haven't had time to sit down and allow myself to cry and cry because it's too hard, too soon for me. I need more time, and I'm very introverted for that. So I mean, I'm really overwhelmed, as I say, for every person that is here to tribute Mom. And when I think of my mom, I always think of the sentence that my Aunt Barbie always said, that it's that she didn't have a cruel bone in her body, a mean bones. It was just the kindest person. She always put her family first. That was happiness for her. She wasn't an ambitious person. She just wanted her family to be fine. And as you guys have already said, she always did everything she could to be an all families event, because for her, that was everything for her. And so definitely, I'm proud of being her daughter for that, because I remember when I was growing up, and all my friends, they always told me, your mom is so kind, and it's true. She stood up for that, and I'm, I hope I can be as half mother as she's been with us, and definitely, I'm so proud of the person she was and how she influenced everybody. Also, I feel really lucky because I had the luck to grow in a multicultural environment at home, and not only my Spaniards relatives, who I adore, and Juancho and the Tia are here today to share with us, but also the fact of enjoying all the summers with all the family in the States and with my mom's friends. And I know sometimes we don't keep as much in touch, but I love you guys so much. I just wanted to know. And as my dad says, I'm really want to do the effort to travel to the States soon and you know, be with you guys. And I want my kids to be able to spend time with all of you. And yeah, so I don't want to extend myself more, but just wanted to thank you guys again for organizing this event. I love you all a lot, and I'm fortunate that this will be recorded, because unfortunately my kids today were a bit crazy, but I will definitely want to share this video with them and keep reminding them how lucky they were to have such a great Grammy. And my responsibility is to, you know, to share everything that she was, even though now it's hard for me to do it, but I definitely would do that because she deserves that. And so, yeah, big kiss to everybody, and thank you again. And I will give over the word to my brother.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. I am overwhelmed by the sense of love that I feel among these people. My mother passed on to me many qualities. One of them is the ability to shed tears easily. So I came prepared. Please bear with me. I want to echo Dad's and Sarah's words of appreciation to my aunties Barbie and Nancy and Tom and siblings and kids who've just brought this beautiful labor of love. It was a beautiful vision they had many months ago. And for a number of reasons, this looks different than what they had hoped, but it's a beautiful thing. And I appreciate the Hill tenacity and desire to see things through. And this is such a beautiful, beautiful location. I've just been overwhelmed over the last 90 minutes to just listen to all the words, the videos, the poems, the songs, just celebrating Mom. And as many of you know, I had the privilege a couple years ago to put together her 70th booklet for her birthday. And most of you contributed to that. And it was just such a reminder of how the impact that she's had and continues to have. And what I love to think is that Mom knew that. Mom knew how much each of you loved her. She cherished that book. She cherished that video. She cherished knowing how much each of you meant to her. I have so many thoughts and so many memories that I want to share, but obviously I need to be selective, and that hasn't been easy for me. But, you know, from my very first memory to the last memory I have of Mom, she has always been for me a pillar of love, support, encouragement, and acceptance. From my early days, the many activities that both Sarah and I had in sports and music, she was always going to and from, always with a smile on her face, always cheering us. Not because of our performance or achievements, just because she delighted in us as son and daughter. Into the adult days, when she has supported every single choice I've made, personally and professionally, even though she knew that pursuing my life dream might take me away from her physically. And that's something she knew very well, what that meant to be away from your parents and from your siblings, but she always supported me. She has been and always has been my biggest cheerleader. I remember last November when we prepared for Mom's funeral. It was a beautiful, intimate family gathering. My beautiful wife, Sarah, was not able to travel because she was pregnant at that point with Emily. And she gave me a word to define Mom that really stuck with me. To define Mom. She said, Mom was the glue of the family. Mom was the person that makes so many of our gatherings possible. She was a peacemaker. She had a gift of bringing people together, to bridging gaps that otherwise would not be happening. That desire that she had for family and fellowship has been one of the biggest legacies she's left with me. And I love to live life in a way that honors that. I love all the traditions that she gave us. She was a woman of traditions, and I've grown up to be like that. Christmas was by far her favorite time of the year. My sister and I remember so many wonderful traditions of Christmas. And I dare say in my 43 years, I think I've only missed Christmas in Spain 3 years. That's the legacy of how much we love being together. Of course, one of the biggest traditions and highlights of the year was our Hill family reunion in Alta Vista. 4431 Alta Vista Lane will forever be for me one of the beacons of memories and happiness. And my aunties and uncles, I refer to many of those. Spending time with Grammy Grandpa, with all the Hill uncles and aunts and cousins, seeing her dearest friend Sarah Margaret with family and just going out and doing fun activities together. I remember Kevin, Jay, and I having these amazing eating pancakes competitions. And then Grandpa just turning his eyes and just thinking we were crazy. But those were great times, great memories. That was always a highlight for my sister and I of the year, and Mom made it possible. She loved those times. Time with family was Mom's favorite thing in life. Still lived for that. That was the thing that brought her the most joy. She loved that. She loved Sarah. She loved me. She loved her siblings, and she was so proud of each of you and the families of those siblings. She loved my wife as her own daughter. She loved her parents, Mom and Dad Douglas. She loved my beloved brother-in-law Christian as a son. She adored her nephews and nieces. And she loved our angel, Emily, who she never got to meet. I miss Mom every day, but she's always with me. Those 43 years of pouring love, encouragement, and support in my life are an essential part of the man I've become. My wife knows that often just simple daily activities will trigger memory. And I will make a comment of how Mom used to do this or that, or I think, what would Mom do in this situation? And while I mourn the fact that I will not have new memories with her, I'm so thankful and blessed for those 43 years of great memories that carry with me and that I can pass on to the next generation. One of the things that gave me great comfort when Mom passed was the joy to know that I loved her and I respected her and I honored her in life. I have no regrets and no words untold. Mom knew how I felt about her, and I told her very often. The last in-person memory I have with Mom, the last time I saw her was about 2 weeks before she passed. She had spent 5 days here in Geneva with us. She loved being here. She felt at home. I remember my beautiful son, Joshua, who actually made this little card for her. It's just a picture. It says, Joshua loves Grammy. He adored Grammy. And I remember one of the maybe few things that we didn't love about Mom was her desire to smoke from time to time. And I remember when she was here at home, she would go outside in the garden and she wouldn't want to bother anyone. She was very, quiet about it. And every time Joshua saw that, he would stop what he was doing. He would sit next to Grammy. She would grab a chair and say, Grammy, let's talk. Let's talk. And he loved that, and she loved that. And she felt home. And I remember on her way to the airport, she told me she felt this had been the best visit ever to Geneva. And so I took her to the airport, I checked her in, I gave her a big bear hug, a big kiss. And as I turned away, waved with guys, she gave me this beautiful smile, full of joy and contentment for life. And that was the last time I saw Mom. And that's how I always think about mom. Looking back at me, smiling, content, happy with the life she lived. So I want to conclude by thanking each one of you today in this call. Every one of you made mom's life special because you were special and unique. I want to thank you for making mom's life a life that was rich, a life that was joyful, a life that was blessed, a life that brought her much happiness and joy, a life, in essence, that was worth celebrating. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Brian. I think many of us on the call, there's a sadness about all the little ones that we see that never had a chance to meet Susie. And yet that's balanced a little bit, I think, by the knowledge that while they did not know her, their parents did. And I see in Joshua, who obviously got the wonderful chance to know his Grammy very well, coming over to give his dad a kiss because he knew his dad needed it. That's his grandmother right there. So her influence goes on in so many wonderful ways. So now's a chance for anybody who'd like to say something. If you'd like to, you can just put me, just write in me under the chat for everyone to let us know. If you don't know how to do that, you just want to wave your hand, I'll see you and make sure we recognize you. It could be something really short. It could be something longer. I think Wendy will start us off. So Wendy, thank you so much. If you want to unmute.
Okay, sorry. Thanks. I wasn't expecting to go first, but I'm so happy to be able to be with all of you today. And our family always felt as though the Hill family adopted us when we moved to Texas. And it was a wonderful feeling when you come to a new and strange place that you have family already there that welcome you. And I'm so happy that in many ways we've stayed as a part of one another's lives, not as much as I'd like, but but still. But what I wanted to share really was a little story. It was almost 50 years ago that I spent a summer in Spain when I was 16. And at the end of it, I went to visit Susie and Emilio. And I was always rather in awe of Susie. She was so tall and so elegant and so blonde. And I was this awkward, shy, redheaded girl. And I just thought she was the most. But then when I came to visit them and met Emilio, you were wonderful. You guys were both so generous, taking me around and showing me things. But the memory I have the strongest was one afternoon, we went out to eat somewhere and near on the ocean. And we had, well, I think we had paella. I mean, I can't believe after all these stories, it wasn't paella, but in any event, it was delicious and the sun was shining and the breeze was blowing. It just seemed like and Emilio was letting me have little glasses of wine, which was really great. And then I remember as we were eating the paella, Emilio said to me, they had these beautiful big prawns on them. And he said, now, Wendy, you have to, you eat the prawn and then you suck the head because that's where it's really delicious. It's the best flavor. And I was like, what? And I looked at Susie and she sort of nodded at me like, yeah, you really should do that. And I did, and it was fantastic. But it just stayed with me forever. And every time I see a big prawn now, I think of Susie and Emilio and that beautiful day at the beach and how they helped, again, a shy, awkward 16-year-old learn a little something about the world and become a slightly more sophisticated version of myself. So thank you for that. And I love you all. I do wish we could all be there for real hugs today, but virtual hugs to everyone. So I'll mute myself again now.
Thank you so much, Wendy. And I think Adam would like to join in.
Yes, hi, it's good to see all of you guys. Of
course, Susie gave us this great gift of having everybody come together and be able to see everybody and even, you know, share those stories that wouldn't have been possible if we were in person. So that's, and I'm grateful for that. I don't have a lot to say. You know, we always enjoyed seeing her growing up, and especially at the weddings when we were older and we could really, you know, get to know her better. One thing that I remember so clearly from childhood, though, is just how much she was really interested in kids, and you know, it wasn't just sort of a perfunctory, "Oh, aren't you cute?" And of course, she would kiss you on the cheek and all, but then she would just sit and spend time with you, and you know, she never really got over the just ability to talk with someone young and just, you know, pretend with them and enjoy time with them. It wasn't like, you know, "Oh, what's your favorite color? What do you like in school?" No, she kind of treated you like an adult, and she felt very different from any other adult that I knew for that reason. And obviously, the love she shared it left an impact on all of us, and so I'm so grateful to have known her. And thank you guys for sharing all of your stories today. It's been so nice to celebrate her memory. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. And I think Robbie, who is a cousin, would like to speak. Join in, Robbie.
Hi there, I'm Robbie, and I'm one of the cousins from the other branch of the Hill family in Texas. We used to always think of the folks from Dallas as the Dallas Hills, and we always enjoyed getting together with the cousins, both up in Dallas and in Central Texas and down at the coast for fishing, and have lots of fond memories of that. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, one other thing I wanted to say, bienvenidos, Emilio y su familia, por video. And for the paella count, I also remember Emilio making paella there at Alta Vista Lane in Dallas.
Thank you, Robbie. I think Pat would like to say something.
Well, since everybody's going with the paella account, when Tom and I were there the first time in 1975, they took us down to Sitges along the shore, and the paella there was just amazing. But there was this creature on the paella that was kind of a langostino. It was kind of a cross between a really big shrimp and a lobster. It kind of had lobster claws, but a little shrimp tail, but giant, you know. And I said to Sue, what's the name of this? And she said, it's a cigala. And I went, wow, okay. I kind of remember it by a cigar or something, you know. So I went back and came back to Houston, and I was telling my friends, Umbe, who's from Mexico, and I was telling her about this wonderful dish, the Spanish dish that was just covered with seafood, and the thing that impressed me the most was chingala, and I discovered that's a different Mexican word. So I learned to be a little more careful in telling my stories. Back to you.
I love it. There was definitely some particular laughter from the Spanish-speaking guests. Are there others who'd like to say something? Is that Joni, I think? Please unmute yourself and join in.
Thank you. I'm Jonina from Iceland, and not everybody knows me, but I was an exchange student when I was 17 years old with the Hills, and I had a wonderful time. I was so lucky to be at the Emilio's and Susie's wedding with my Thelma. Thelma was about, I think, 6 or 8 years old, and Brian and Sarah, they were also poquito small, and they were so, I was so lucky, they were so communicating together in the swimming pool, and Susie came to me and said, Joni, it's wonderful how they communicate Spanish, English, Icelandic. So it was so nice. Can you hear me? And I want to thank you, Emilio and Susie, for taking me in. I had a wonderful time. And Susie, I met her last year or 2 years ago, and we had a wonderful time. Thank you all for having me. So, Emilio, thank you.
Thank you, Joni. And I may be wrong, but I think I may have seen Bruce Elliott recognize who you were or something. There was this joy in his face, and that just, so Susie bringing people together,
Yeah.
Which is great. And so I'm delighted to, I think, invite David and Judy Douglas, who are the parents of Sarah, married to Brian. Please join in.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Emilio. We love you and miss you. And thank you for you and Susie just enveloping our daughter, Sarah, and loving her like your own daughter. That is the greatest joy for a parent of a daughter getting married. And we are so proud of Brian and love him so much as our son. And the hospitality you and Susie showed us in Spain and your visits to the US to be with us and our visits with you in Switzerland have all been such a blessing in our lives. And we just love you so much. Never want you to forget. That's all.
That's all, but it's a lot. Thank you, Judy. Are there others who would like to say something? I think Rusty, I see you. Yeah, please.
Okie doke. Are y'all hearing me okay? I don't do Zoom very. Okay, great. Briefly, I was very, very lucky to spend some time around Susie in Miami when she was going through Pan Am flight attendant training. It happened I had just gotten out of the Navy and I was going through some aviation training also. And we spent quite a few weeks of that time seeing each other, I'm going to say 3-4 times a week, I suppose. I would quiz her on various airport abbreviation designations and so forth. Got to know her and some of her classmates. But one of the things that particularly fits in the conversation I've been hearing is that she introduced me to paella. I had never heard a thing about it, but I am definitely a paella lover as a result of her introducing me. I think it's possible she may have introduced me to sangria also. It's conceivable. So anyway, I was very privileged to spend a part of my life when both of us were in aviation training, had a lot in common, and helped her move into her apartment after she finished training and started flying the line. And I very much enjoyed sharing life with her until I moved on to the next phase of my life. And she moved in, oh, that incidentally was in 1970, spring of and very early summer of. And I believe that was very shortly before she and Amelia got married. So anyway, we discussed that possibility coming up, and it was not a surprise to me. I kind of saw it coming. You know, she was never very far from he was never very far from her mind, I know. So she was a very special cousin. I enjoyed thoroughly knowing her and very saddened by her death. Back to you, Jay.
Thanks so much, Rusty. And from many of the knowing glances, I'm suspecting you weren't the only one that Susie introduced to sangria as well. So, and I think Brian and Sarah, please.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say a few words about Mom. I am really blessed. You know, any woman who gets married, you hope to have a good relationship with your mother-in-law, but the truth is you can't expect it. And Mom just loved me almost before she even knew me. Back when we were living in Russia, and we would have, the first time I met her, really, quote unquote, met her, was on Skype. And she just accepted me from the very beginning. And then the first Christmas that I went to Valencia with Brian when we were engaged, and every time I saw her, she just loved on me and cared for me, gave me big hugs and kisses. And I just felt like a daughter immediately. And I felt that love, but over time, you know, and spending time and having them in Geneva and us being in Valencia, there was a friendship that developed between us that I am so thankful to have developed. To just have time chatting in the kitchen as we made food and chopped tomatoes and prepared things for Dad to make paella and different things, that just spending time together was very special. But I have to mention, because it hasn't been mentioned here yet, but one of the things that's so important to remember about Mom is her singing. A few of you have mentioned the singing to children, but I tell you, the nursery rhymes, the number of verses that she knew by heart to very random nursery rhymes is quite astounding. And she was very, she would sing to her grandsons and to her granddaughters and to the students that she taught at Yale. So many of them will come up to her and say, "Hey, Susie, do the gunk gunk song with the frog." And she would do all the actions. And I have just some precious videos of her doing those songs with her grandchildren. And I think of her every day, because now I have a little infant and I put on nursery rhymes, and so many of the things that I sing, I remember Mom as she was singing to her grandchildren. And I think, I'm passing this on now to my daughter, who didn't get to hear this from her Grammy, and yet in a secondhand way, she is receiving still that blessing of generational passed down from her Grammy. So I just wanted us all to remember the joy she had with children and the songs that she sang to them, and what a, you know, they're simple. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, and yet it brings joy to us. And so it's one of my favorite memories of Mom. Thanks.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. I know that song as well. Maybe just for a little fun right now, why don't we just, anybody who'd like to, in the chat, just to everyone, just put one word that you think of when you think of Susie, okay? And you can do it a couple times if you want to, but just put in the chat one word when you think of Susie, to everyone. You've got happy and family, encourager, elegant, loving, accepting, warmth, kind, laughing and kissing and laughter. La persona más buena del mundo. The best person in the world. Welcoming, authentic, cool, engaged, a friend. Those are wonderful. Open and worldly, courageous. And the wonderful thing is this is all being recorded, which means the chat is being recorded as well. And so any of you who'd like to look at this later, it will be there. And Juancho just now made it for everyone to see, which is wonderful. And adventurous. She was all of those things. Would anybody else like to say anything? We have a final song, and then some last words and a toast, which we'll finish with. But if anybody else would like to say something beforehand, please do feel free. Yeah, she was in the moment, Matt. And I suspect she's loving this moment somewhere too.
Jay, I just want to thank everybody as well for coming today. You've meant so much to all of us, and we just so appreciate everything you've said. And I can't talk right now. And Wancho, thanks a lot for blowing me a kiss. You right before I was going to say something. Anyway, love you guys.
And given how much Susie loved people, she wouldn't have wanted it to why this happened, but she would love the fact that you're all here, and just would love the fact that you remember her stories of being happy because of her, because that was one of her favorite things in the world was to make people happy. So, well, I think what we have, we have one other, sorry, David and Judy, please.
Hello, everyone. I am Sarah's father, and we're in Montana. We had a wonderful experience going through Yellowstone Park with Emilio and just delightful. I think we wore her out that day. We tried to do too much. I have a good memory of her. You've mentioned, a number of you, how well she related to children. My mother, who was still living at that time, born in 1930, 17 years Susie's senior, and a farm girl from Montana, never went past high school. In fact, only in her later life did she ever leave the boundaries of this state. Yet, when Sue and Emilio visited, those two ladies just related so amazingly to me, so different in many ways, and yet they were just, they just seemed to bond. Mom to her and Sue to mom, and they would just sit and talk so easily, and that's a memory I cherish. These two very different ladies, and yet just so, they bridged the gap so well, and it was just wonderful to see. Thank you.
Thank you, David. It was lovely. Yeah, that's right, Pat. As Pat writes, the reason we all pre-recorded our memories is so we wouldn't all get choked up. Yeah, it is different, isn't it? The first half didn't have many tears because all these people got to do it, a week ago in quiet of their own home. But I do want to just say something else about Susie, and I think this could lead into Katie's song, maybe, Pat, would be that she was so wonderfully optimistic. And people talk about her kindness and all of that. And I think it was also tied to this just willingness, desire to see the world and to see the opportunities rather than the challenges. And I can't imagine a more important time for that than now with the pandemic and other challenges that we all face. And so she was wonderful of the ability to see the best in people and in situations. And my daughter, Katie, recorded a song which she did a little intro. So I'll let her do the intro with the recording for it. But I will just say that it really is perfect, I think, or good at least for in celebrating Susie, because Susie was so optimistic and so able to find light in dark times. And I think for many of us, her early passing was very dark, of course. And I think this song is a way of seeing light in it, which I think Susie was incredible at. So take it away, Katie.
This song is called Light of a Clear Blue Morning by Dolly Parton and arranged by the Waylon Jennys. It's about finding hope and light in times of darkness. I'd like to dedicate this recording to Aunt Susie for all the light that she brought into so many lives.
It's been a long, dark night, and I've been waiting for the morning. It's been a long, hard fight, but I can see a brand new day dawning, and I've been looking for the sunshine, 'cause I ain't seen it in so long. what's been all wrong. 'Cause I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. It's been a long time since I've known the taste of freedom and those clinging vines. Had me bound, well, I don't need 'em. Ooh, I've been like a captured eagle. You know, an eagle's born to fly. Ooh, now that I've won my freedom, like an eagle, I am eager for the sky. 'Cause I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. 'Cause I can see the light of a clear blue morning. The light of a morning. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. The light of a I can see the light of a clear blue morning. The light. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay.
I think, can you all hear me?
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Mom.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Katie. That was so perfect for the end of this. It's hard to follow. Thank you all so much for coming and for all your contributions toward remembering our dear sister, aunt, wife, mother, grandmother, and friend. Stay well, everybody. Tom, I think you're on. Tom, you gonna lead us in a toast?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Before I start the toast, let me ask you all to unmute yourself. You notice I just forgot to unmute myself. You reminded me. But everybody unmute yourself now, because when I finish, I'd like to hear a great noise from everybody. So to you, friends of Susie, thank you all for being here today. Let us now drink to the health of everyone here today and to the precious memory of our dear Susie. Drink up.
Here. Here's to Susie.
Susie.
All family.
We love you, Susie.
Love you.
Very much.
Oh, wait, that's.
It was marvelous, 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 marvelous. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for joining, Bruce.
Honored to be an unofficial hill.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you too, Joni.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm also a little bit hill.
For one of the sisters. What do you mean?
Yes, I'm one of the sisters.
That's right.
Well, I think it's real. I loved what Sarah said about, your mother, loving your mother-in-law. And I think really, if it weren't for Tom's sisters and his mother, I probably wouldn't have married into this family.
No.
you know, you get a husband, you get a crowd here.
Right.
Indeed.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Rusty. Thank you.
You bet, Gladys.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you.
I'll send out the link to the recording.
Yes, thank you.
For having me with you all.
Oh, Joni, we love you.
Now wait, what was the name of that Spanish dish again?
You're right. Tortilla Española.
I'll say it together so we can get 15 more. Paella.
Or
Yeah. I love it.
Be in touch. So, care.
Bye, Joni.
Adiós.
Love you.
You. Bye.
Bye.
It's been wonderful to be with this family. Thank you for the celebration.
Oh, thank you for joining us. We love you, Pat and Don.
So, Sarah, are your twins nearby? We want to get them on camera here if you've got them handy.
We're bringing them. Wait.
Oh, wait. I will take the computer. It's easier.
We got to show off all the children.
Prove that it's not a myth.
Wow. Well, that really captured Susie.
Yes.
Today, everything was just beautiful. I went through like 3 Kleenexes.
I know, right?
Oh,
there they are. Hi, Alexia.
Nice.
Hi, Martin.
Hola, cariño.
Di hola, Martín.
Hola. Martin. Hola, Claudia.
Hola.
Hola.
Kiss. Pick you up.
Yeah, tan preciosos. Aw.
Wants to give a kiss to the camera.
Yeah, she's kissing the camera.
Aw.
Beso.
Katie, thanks for that song, and thanks. I would have spotlighted you, but you had your camera off, or I would have spotlighted you during.
Katie, that was beautiful.
That was gorgeous.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Thank you. I've got to go. Goodbye, everybody. Much love.
Bye, Wendy. Love ya.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Pat. Bye-bye.
This was so special.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We love you, cabreras.
Bye, Pancho.
Amigos.
Jay,
Jay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Tia. Tia.
Cariño.
Adios.
Bye. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
And thank you, Keita.